Hello, welcome to Krafting Kitty. My name is Erin. It is Friday. So on Fridays we do my Fridays with Fred segment. So we'll go into this quick, but then I do have some general talking points to do at the end of the video. So we'll do that at the end just in case you're like, I don't care about that. I just want to see the crafty goodness. I feel ya. I feel ya. So I bought this book. It's Knitting the Neighborhood, the official knitting patterns of Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood. And I want to make all of them because I'm feeling like a nostalgic fool sometimes. And I love Mr. Rogers, Fred Rogers. The majority of the patterns in this book are sweaters, but there are sweaters, accessories, toys, and puppets are separate. There's one toy, one is puppets, and then there's blankets. Because the majority are sweaters, if we kind of go in like one of each in order, there'll be a bunch of sweaters left over at the end. So what we've decided to do is you vote on what project I make next. I nominate 4 projects, and you pick which one you want to see, and then it takes me however long it takes me to make it. We're on our 5th project, which is a sweater, the Nurture Cardigan, designed by Carla Patrick. Now, I do like to note that this is not necessarily the exact, where is it? Right here. The exact pattern that Nancy Rogers used when she made Fred Rogers' sweater. Nancy was his mother. But Carla Patrick looked and said, I can reverse engineer that, and she did a darn good job. So that's what we're doing. I mentioned that there's a lot more sweaters because this sweater, I gave you a sneak peek. Every once in a while, we're going to have a sweater only choice to make sure I don't end up with like 5 sweaters all at once at the end. So this was a sweater only choice. But I want to be sure I don't do the same type of project back to back, if that makes sense. So like next time we vote, there won't be a sweater option on the table. I put a good amount of work in this. I started a new cycle of my projects. So each day I try to touch all the projects I have going. So it gets a couple of stitches, usually a row. Yep, everything that I'm working on gets at least a row a day. I'm saying that because Sophie is not in the mix right now. Sophie gets stitches and hopefully a half a row. A full row if I have the time, but at least a half a row. But Sophie's out for now. But what I've been doing is I have the order in which I do things. And so I do my touch on each one, and then I've been starting over and doing the touch on each one again in the same pattern. I used to do like a touch on each one and then have a project I just drilled down on. The drill down project was my book dragon blanket. I've said this before, I'm behind. I'm not going to finish it by my own deadline, and it has disheartened me. This is all personal. This is all me. No one is giving me any pressure. This is all in my own head and on Erin. Erin, I was going to talk about myself in the third person, but that's weird. I just want to cuddle a dragon blanket. That is my goal. It'll get done when it gets done. But anyway, so I was getting mad at myself and therefore mad at the blanket. So I was not necessarily focusing on it as I should. And we've talked about it in the past. That is a counting intensive blanket. And it was getting moved like further back in the day when I was like, there are kiddos running in. There's a husband that wants to say things to me. Like, I had to rip some stuff out. No. So anyway, this kind of going around really worked well for me. But Mr. Rogers' sweater, this is the Mr. Rogers project, I call it my Fred project, is the first in the line. So that meant this last week, I was getting 2, if not 3 rounds done on this. And For me, a round on this project is 2 rows. So a right side row and a wrong side row, so I don't mess up the pattern. That's a long-winded way to say I made nice, good progress here, and I'm very happy with it. So this blue stitch marker is where I was. This is where I am. I'm nearly done with the first grade of increases on the sleeve and about ready to refer back to the book and see what I have to do next. This is a bit of a long 1x1 rib. It's meant to be folded up for a cuff, and then we'll sew it together. So there you go. And then that cable will be along the outside of the arm. Very lovely. I'm loving it. This is looking to be a very good, correct size for me. So I'm loving it. As I said, this is the Nurture Cardigan by Carla Patrick. I am using Big Twist Party in the colorway Spiced Wine. Yes! Spiced Wine, of course, long since discontinued by our dear departed Joanne. In the pantheon of the yarns, I hope Hirschner's brings back or allows us to continue to access my number. So I feel like it's a given that Big Twist Value is living on in some way. Hirschner's keeps asking in their social media, what else do you want to see? What else do you want to see? Posh is getting a lot of love. I'm not into that type of yarn. I always respond with Living. I would love if they could bring back Living. I feel like that's a good, solid contender that they might be able to produce. I love that anti-pilling yarn. It's fantastic. In my dreams, they would bring back Rave and Party. But I have very little hope that Party is going to return. But there is some. There's always a little bit of hope. Okay, so that's my progress report there. Good progress. I'm happy with it. I don't know if this system is going to last much longer for reasons we're going to get to in a couple of minutes. To kind of wrap up the discussion of the crafty goodness, this puts me... It's hard to guesstimate because the sleeve keeps getting wider and then it's going to get smaller for the shoulder shaping. I'm going to say this is a good 2/3 of the way done on the sleeve. So then that's the first sleeve. I have to finish the second sleeve. Then there's a separate shawl collar that I knit and then everything gets sewn together. So still a fair amount of work, but we are getting to the ending point on there. I need to talk about the dress forms because I always forget. This is a shawl that I did look to see if I could figure out what it was on Pinterest. I was unsuccessful, but I will try again. After I first learned to crochet, this was a shawl designed for Lion Brand Mandala, however you want to say it. And I made it, and I love it. So this is crochet. Actually, they're both crochet. This is what I lovingly call my Sally wrap. It is a Bag O' Day tutorial. Oh, I linked it. And I was like, oh, now I'm going to remember the name. And I didn't. Maybe it was like Simply Elegant. When you look at, just search Bag O' Day latte cake. You will find it. I used Kissy Kissy in latte cakes. She used the beautiful white cream color. It's a gorgeous shawl. I love it. It's more of a rectangular wrap. Can you see the hat? Is the hat in frame? I don't know if the... it looks like it might just be in frame. So that hat is also a Bag O' Day pattern. I made it as part of Bod Hatapalooza. It is her Icy Tears beanie hat, Icy Tears hat. The picture, her oldest daughter is modeling it. It turned out absolutely gijumbus. It is a ginormous hat. I cannot in good conscience donate it. It's been kind of a joke on the channel. Lori Armchair Chef thought it should be a mascot. So occasionally I will bring it out to remember and giggle at ourselves. Because, you know, as Jane Austen said, what are we but to laugh? What is the line about laughing at our neighbors and be laughed at in our turn? It's from Pride and Prejudice. Let me see if I can look it up real quick. But yeah, I don't pretend to be. For what do we live but to make sport for our neighbors and laugh at them in our turn? That's the quote. Mr. Bennett says that when talking to Lizzie at one point. I love that line. I love it, even if I can never remember it word for word. But yeah, I don't ever, you know, hold myself out to be a pristine, perfect crafter and things like that to keep us humble. So there you go. That is the end of the crafty goodness segment. I just wanted to touch base real quick to say hello to all my new friends, new people who have found us. We've had a spike and I am so pleased. I am so happy. I've had a number of you come on saying you found me through Shannon. So thank you, Shannon. Another yarn. Love her to pieces. It is amazing to me, I've said this before, how friendships can develop through the internet thing. And it's weird that I now have people I consider friends just dribbled throughout the country that I've never once seen in person. But I count Shannon amongst those, so thank you. I think a number came over Gary from Urban Yarns. I see a spike whenever he mentions the channel, so I thank Gary as well. I guess I say around the country, he's up in Canada. So yeah, again, Gary, I adore Gary. He is like an idol of mine. The way he puts together colors is just genius to me. He creates exquisite things, as does Shannon, as does all of us, I hope. But anyway, so thank you. I had a couple of comments saying, this is the first time I'm seeing your daughter, because Bingo popped in to a video. It is the final day of school today, so you're going to probably see more of those little pop-ins. If you haven't met him already, I also have a son, Chomps. Of course, those are their aliases. But yeah, you'll probably see them bursting through the door. And there will be some segments that are less crafty, because in the past I have shared the kids and I try to do container gardening during the summer, because the only area on our property that gets good sunlight for growing is the driveway and the front yard. Now Brian, in probably his wisdom, will not let me dig up the front yard for a garden. But he will let me line the path with pots, and he doesn't care. Well, he probably cares, but at least he hasn't said anything yet about putting up various raised beds and big pots kind of in the middle of the driveway. The kids love it. Chomps is obsessed with tomatoes. Bingo is still on her quest to grow a watermelon. We got a watermelon last year, but it was super late in the season and it didn't grow into a good size to eat. You know, it still stayed pretty small. But we had an actual visible watermelon. She was thrilled. She has blueberry bushes. Chomps has a strawberry plant. Other than that, I've planted a bunch of herbs, and a lot of the pots we've just thrown wildflowers in this year. My quest this year is to finally get a zucchini. For whatever reason, I cannot for the life of me grow a zucchini here. I grew many up in Wisconsin. I had great success with zucchini, tomatoes, carrots, potatoes, sweet potatoes, and the golden Yukon Gold potatoes. Up in Wisconsin, we had very sandy soil up there. I lived central Wisconsin, within walking distance to Hirschner's. And yeah, so that was great fun. We love doing that. We're going to see what grows and hopefully take you on the journey. Of course, we always peter out at some time near the end of the summer and things get looking sad. But we start with the best of intentions. So that's what you're going to see: more kiddo interruptions. You're going to see garden content. And you're probably going to see more videos with harsh breaks where, you know, maybe I have to do a little parenting, or maybe they're playing nicely, but I can hear personal identifiable information coming through the door. And, you know, their privacy and security is paramount. So I try to cut and remove anything like that from my videos. So if you see weird start stops, that's me doing that. Sometimes I remember to put like a little blurb on the screen, but I do know many people listen and don't watch. I do it all the time. Like, I'm cooking and I just use YouTube as a radio, you know, listen to people talking. And I don't necessarily see what's on their screens either. So I could see how that could be confusing. But I hope that that interests you. And I would expect, with it being summer, to have a bit of a slowdown on productivity, because I'm a stay-at-home mom. I do my things to keep the house running, but, you know, when they're at school, I can steal 15-20 minutes to myself to put a row on a project, whereas I may not be as easily able to steal that time while also having the kiddos on site. Y'all know how this goes. You know how it goes. But yeah, we will be around, and I hope you stick with us, because we're hoping to have a fun summer. So yeah, hopefully that explains a bit. I don't know why I'm playing with this crochet hook. Explains a bit about what you're going to see going forward. Some little changes that might happen around the channel, and a little introduction to the little faces that are going to pop through that door. They don't always knock. Sometimes they just barge on through, although they're getting better at knocking. We haven't had a dog burst through in a long time, so that's good. That's good. They're just gigantic, and there's not enough room for the dogs in this room. Okay, I'm going to stop my blabbering. I love you all. I hope to keep seeing you through the summer. I would love to know what passion projects you're working on. I know a lot of you are like, well, I love a lot of things. Whatever is exciting you, whatever project has gripped your attention the most lately, that's what I would love to hear about. Love it. I mean, ideally, we're passionate about everything we're making. Otherwise, why are we making it? This is fun times. This is a hobby. This is meant to be fun. Although I do know some people make good livings doing this, and kudos to those people if you are able to do it. For me, this is a hobby, and it's just meant to be fun. And when it stops being fun, that's when we reevaluate why we're doing it. I'm having a blast. Hope you're having a blast. Love you all. Bye-bye.